So you either had to be a ditz in high school, or you had to, like I said, you had to be a scene kid, so you had to fit in that tougher, more punk aesthetic, I guess. Scene, if you don't know scene, I feel like it's very particular to my age group because right before us, people were still emo and goth. Scene, I believe, is kind of like emo mixed with like ravers. You kind of put so you get a lot more neon. It's still all black for the most part, but you tease your hair. You do a lot of big my makeup is kind of kind of like what my friends might have worn, except the eyes would have been totally rimmed in black. And you get like darker lipsticks, if any lipstick. I'm not sure that any of us really wore a lot of lipstick, but you would get a ton of eye makeup, and the hair would be teased all the heck and like long and like dyed black or these like various unnatural colors. I believe the point of the hair was purely to upset your mother and use a lot of hairspray, much like ironically our mothers were doing in the 80s. And the aesthetic of the scene kid was very surly. So you didn't have to be a ditz to get scene boys to like you. You had to know the right bands though. And you had to like properly appreciate the right bands and not be a poser. Um and I could never make time for the aesthetic. I didn't have time. I never wore makeup in high school. I barely took time to brush my hair. Uh, I kind of messed that up tonight too. Uh, I barely took time to brush my hair. I even had a kid. People always, maybe I'll do a set at some point on like people attempting to bully me or just various funny other things about like that in middle school and high school. But uh, on the bus once, this girl came up to me and my friend, and she was like, "Do you guys have a hair tie?" And I didn't have a hair tie. I didn't own a hair tie. And my friend didn't have one on her. So we said, "No, sorry." And she said, "Oh, okay." And like, I don't think she believed us. I think she thought we were being mean to her because what teenage girl doesn't have a hair tie? I wouldn't have believed me either. So she went like back to her friends, and one of her guy friends clearly thinking also that we were being mean to her by lying about having a hair tie. And maybe my friend was, but I wasn't. But the guy says, and probably thought we were being mean because we were just like, no, sorry, and we like didn't even try to talk to her or anything. She wasn't really in our group, and we thought, they would try to bully us if we tried to talk to them because we were like the smart kids. So this guy goes, "Of course she doesn't have a hair tie. She doesn't even look like she owns a hairbrush." Isn't that mean? And it's also like it's kind of funny because it's a very fashion forward comment from a young man. He's very concerned about the state of my hair. My quip in return popped into my head immediately and I went, "Nope, nope." Because I always had a tendency to like when people would gently jab, I would come out arms swinging and just escalate that Cold War up to nuclear power. So he said that about me not brushing my hair, which was true. I brushed it a little bit in the morning and then didn't care about it the whole rest of the day, and it turned into a mess because it was long. And I didn't do anything really to take care of it except wash it once a day, which you're not even supposed to do that. You're not supposed to wash it every day. So he was right. But my response to his comment about my hair that popped in my head was, well, at least I'm not going to get a heroin addiction. I did not say that. I held my tongue. Perhaps it would have been more satisfying to not hold my tongue. I figured out as I get older that actually it's usually more satisfying and you feel better later if you don't hold your tongue. Everybody's like, just be calm. Don't sink to that level. Take the high road. That is never fun. It never feels good. Way more fun to see somebody be like, holy shit basket. I'm sorry. But that popped into my head and I kept it to myself. And the young man did eventually develop a heroin addiction. So what do you know? Glad I didn't say it out loud because then I would feel like I gave him the idea. So I didn't really have an aesthetic. I didn't have a look. I didn't go for the scene kid look, and I didn't like doing the flirty thing. It felt insincere to me. And also, I probably just subconsciously did not want a boyfriend. Oh, and also I had small boobs. So you could be mean and not seen if you had big boobs, and then guys would still want to talk to you, but I didn't fit any of these requirements. So I just had to do, I just struggled through with all of my crushes. And my biggest crush in high school was for 2 years. This guy, 2 years, I'm off frame. This guy who was 1 year above us. We called him Gore because of a character he played once who was a murderer. And of course, because I always like the murderers, we called him Gore. And this wasn't my only crush in high school. There was a running joke that I picked a crush in every class because I would get bored. Basically, I would just pick like the assholiest boy, or the boy who was considered like the Joker in the class, and then that's who I would have my crush on, and I would think about him during that class, and then the bell would ring, and I would move on to the next love of my life in the next class. And I would try to talk to them all semester, usually someone who is sitting next to me, because I value convenience and efficiency. I think the only yeah, it was boys for the most part. I had one criminal justice class where there was this girl, and she was just the coolest flipping girl ever. I think she was like 2 years older than me or something in criminal justice, and she had this like long blonde hair, bright blue eyes, just really dazzling tan skin, and she was just so. At one point during class, somebody chucked, like hardcore chucked a water bottle across the classroom. It whooped by my face. And they didn't mean to. They were trying to toss it to somebody, but they threw it too hard and it went whoop across the class. And this girl, without even like turning, goes catches it in her goddamn hand like that. Just holds it up because she was on the softball team, and I was like, holy shit, she's a superhero. Yeah, so that was the one girl crush. Besides that, I picked boys. Uh, but I had this like one primary crush throughout high school. I had this primary crush. And I already told a story about him during my makeup tutorial, which you haven't seen. I recommend because I do a great job and don't make any mistakes. That's what I'm going to say if you haven't seen it yet. I do a great job and I don't make any mistakes. But yeah, I talk about him a little bit in the makeup tutorial, so I won't tell that story again. But there's another one that I really like. That's just an example of how bad I was at flirting. So I was very jumpy in high school, because of PTSD. Haha, isn't that funny? But people really liked boys, not people. Girls didn't do this shit to me. Boys really liked to like scare me. They would jump up and go ah, and I would jump up and yell, and I would usually flail around and try to smack them, etc. But everybody knew that I was really jumpy. It was very easy to startle me. Because that's one of the symptoms of PTSD is an exaggerated startle response. So thanks, guys. That's fun. But they all thought it was really funny to do that to me, and we were playing a game. It was an improv game where everybody is in this. Where one person is in the center of the circle, everybody else is in the circle, and the person in the circle is supposed to be kind of leading the game. But whenever I was in the circle, everybody thought it was really fun to basically like jump out, yell in my ear, taunt me, because I was always very amped when I was in the circle, so it was very easy to get a really big response from me. So I was in the center of the circle, and people were kind of doing that to me. They were being playful, and the guy I liked was in the circle. And so here's how the scene probably played out in his head, or I imagine guys think the scene will play out in their head. He imagined, coming up and being like, oh, and being like, like, bah, right in my ear, and I flip around, and I'm like, oh, you scared me. Oh, you're so silly and fun. Oh, my little heart won't stop pitter-pattering. Oh, what's that? You want to go for a walk? Like, I don't know what they thought. I was gonna respond like a Victorian heroine. It's not the way I was raised, bitch. I was raised to hit first and ask questions later. So they jumped. So he jumped out. Here's what really happened. He jumps out. He goes, bah, right in my ear. and I whipped around and slapped him hard, right on the money shot, right there on the side of the face. Just, bah, couldn't have been more perfect. Right in the face meat. Just smacked him right there. It's just whoop, with all the forces spinning around. He goes, jumps back. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. And even with my inept sense of flirting, I realized that if he had been trying to playfully flirt with me, I had just escalated it to not that. And I was like, oh my god, I just smacked the shit out of the guy I've liked for like 2 years. And so I'm like, I'm so sorry. And he goes, it's okay. He's got a big old red spot on his face. And he goes, it's okay. I deserved that. Which I took as a good sign. Pretty much all of our interactions went approximately like that. When he tried to talk to me, I couldn't quite manage it, and I would either make a joke that was extremely mean, or I'd act very sarcastic, or I'd just get too nervous and I'd try to shut down the conversation right away. But that's probably the worst thing I ever did, was just smack him right in the face. And it always bothered me because he always dated troubled girls. That was what somebody told me. They were like, he really likes, girls who are damaged because he thinks he can help fix them. And I'm like, I'm damaged. I'm very troubled. You should read my poetry. It's terrifying. Someone should call a counselor. Like, the stuff I wrote for creative writing should have gotten somebody's attention from an adult authority. But, like, I didn't wear all black and a lot of makeup, so nobody knew that I was having a hard time. Because that's how you indicate it in high school. If you don't wear makeup, everyone's like, oh, she's fine, she's just bookish. I did get my ears pierced once. My mom really wanted me to, though. I kind of felt pressured into doing it. And then, I let them close back up because I thought it was too much work because you have to clean them and shit, like a lot. And then you have to like keep wearing earrings. I can kind of feel the little indents of my ear holes. But I did not keep the ear piercings. And that's not enough to show people that you're troubled. Unless you wear like pentagram earrings or something. I should have got some pentagram clip-on earrings. Been like, I'm troubled. Somebody like me. Take me to read poetry in the park. I've always been like I said, attracted to assholes and weirdos. There's another guy I really liked. This guy was in our year. I thought he was really cute. He had kind of like an almost thing with one of my friends all the time though. So I never really went after it. And also, I'm inept at this whole thing. I'm inept at this whole process. So that's another reason I never went after it. And I was also horribly mean to him. I feel very bad about it now. I thought he was wonderfully cute, and I 100% would have gone out with him, but I was horribly, horribly mean to him, as I was to every boy who ever came into contact with me. And as I said, I had small boobs, so uh, there wasn't. They weren't willing to look past it. Some were. Some young men are gluttons for punishment. They'll date them. They'll date someone who's actively bullying them. Whoops. This guy was a magician. That was one of the things that he did. He was a magician in high school. No, and he was open about it. Brave now. Now I respect the bravery. At the time, I did not respect the bravery. At least not outwardly. Inwardly, I very much wanted to smooch him. I thought he was hilarious and cute and quirky. But anyway. we're standing, we're loitering at Walmart, as you do in Peoria, Arizona, because you don't have anything else to do. So we were loitering with a group of us at Walmart, just wandering around. I'm sure the Walmart employees love that. JK, they probably didn't give a shit because they're not getting paid a living wage. So what do they care if we walk around disrupting things? I was standing there looking, and my dad likes the Longhorns, so I was in a stage of pretending like I cared about football in order to, please my father. People know that song and dance, so I was looking at a set of, and I do like the color burnt orange. My dad's a huge Longhorns fan, so I was standing there staring at a bunch of Longhorns hats and shirts and stuff. And also another cute boy liked the Longhorns. I was like, can I get a Longhorn shirt? Can I get a Longhorn shirt? I like the burnt orange. I like how it looks. I know enough about the team to pretend I know shit to talk to boys. So I was looking at this stuff, and the guy standing, this magician kid is standing next to me, and he's nodding. I'm sure he was, trying to talk to the cute girl while she looked at the stuff she was looking at. And he's like, yeah, football. Literally, he says it like that. Football. And I'm like, what do you know about football? And split second fast, he goes, what do you know about magic? And he runs away down the hall. And again, I made a boy literally run away from me. And that is where we're going to have to end this tale. That was pretty much summed up my high school. If I can think of enough stories for college that don't make me cry, I'll do another set that's all about college. But we'll see if those wounds have healed over enough for me to pick at them again. Until next time.